8328. You can also send us your WhatsApp messages to 876 997 3125. That's 876 997 3125.
Good evening and welcome to the program. My name is Joan and I am the counselor. This program is aired every Tuesday and Wednesday between the hour of 10 and 11 p.m. live on Love 101 FM. The aim of this program is to offer holistic counseling. This means counseling is offered to persons who are experiencing difficulties and would like to have some guidance. And so, whether the guidance be psychological or emotional, spiritual, social, or any other area in their life. So, we want you to make contact with us because we want to offer the guidance. We want to offer you some prayer. We want to offer you some directions so that you can look at the choices and make the decisions accordingly. And so, where we can't provide you with the requisite guidance, we usually make recommendations to credible sources. But this evening or this week, this month, we're having a very special focus. And as you've been hearing, we're looking on addiction. And we're going to be looking for the rest of the month on various types of addiction. But this evening, we are very, very privileged to have a special guest with us. So we want you to tune in and we want you to call. Remember, our numbers are 876 968 8327 and 876 968 8328. Our WhatsApp number is 876 997 3125. But this evening, we're going to ask you to do something a little bit different. We're going to ask you to type hashtag the counselor Dr. Joan when you are sending your messages. You can also post on the Love 101 Facebook page. So we're actually live on the Facebook page and our YouTube channel as well. So please feel free to share and to jump in and to interact with us. We have our special guest this evening, and we're going to welcome him shortly. But before we do that, let me just say hi to this other handsome gentleman. Hi, Rashane. How are you doing? And I'm not sure why I'm not hearing you.
Fix this. I know you're hearing me now. All right. Good evening, Dr. Joan. I know I was getting ready to relax. I thought that because you had a guest, my services would be limited this evening.
Well, I've learned the saying which says you don't throw away the old fire stick. That is me now fixing that proverb. You always keep the old fire stick.
All right, not a problem. But what I'll do from time to time, what you'll see me do is just to stay a little bit muted from this end so that the quality will go through a little bit better. So what I'll do is just to keep my mic muted. So whenever it's time to play like a voice note and so on, I'll unmute so that the listeners can hear what's happening.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
All
All
right.
right. And to welcome very, very especially our guest, Mr. Mark Johnson. Hi, Mark.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it is so, so, so good to have you. Really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. And as we have been advertising or have been sharing on our regular program on Love FM, that we're going to be focusing on pornography this evening, and also on June 9 we'll be focusing on pornography, and we want you to share with us your experience. I must commend you. Because that's a topic that is taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it. And it doesn't mean that people are not engaging, but they don't want to talk about it because of the nature of it, the embarrassing nature, and all the various things that can be deduced. But you are the brave man, and I lift my hat, I bow, I do the curtsy, all the various things to just commend on the fact that you are willing to come and share as you have. I believe that the Lord has laid, having interacted with you, my impression is that the Lord has laid on your heart, and so you are willing to come and share with us. And no better person to be able to guide us along. That someone said, if fish tell you that don't know water bottom, stay a particular way, believe him, because it, you heard that one before, right?
Yes, a version of it.
Yeah. So we want to, as I said, commend you on coming on and sharing with us this evening. So we want to encourage persons. Please feel free to text in. I know that persons may not have issues with pornography, may not have issues with addiction, and they may have other issues that may want to speak on. We're not crowding out those persons with other issues. We're saying certainly for the month of June, we want to give those persons who are struggling with pornography, struggling with other types of addiction. So this evening, while we will be focusing on pornography this evening, you can still send in other issues that you may have. And for the rest of the month, we'll look at other types of pornography, other types of addictions. We have several of them that have been identified. And so we hope that our interaction will not just be educational, but it will be insightful and even provide deliverance. Yeah. And the who may be thinking about it and considering it, recognizing that this is not something that we should be engaging in. So welcome, Brother Mark.
Thank you.
Just to tell us a little bit about yourself first of all before we move on.
Well, so I'm a recording artist. I am a transformational speaker and a talk show host. Recently, I launched my new live online talk show called Crosstalk, and we just wrapped up our season 1 that pretty much focused on pornography. And so the responses have been tremendous, and we are truly grateful for the opportunity to talk about the issue. Many persons would text me and call me and say, "Boy, Mark, you're brave," and like as you said as well, brave, but it's not even bravery, it's just a matter of following God's lead, because probably I'm just so focused on following his lead and just walking in what I believe he wants me to do, that probably I'm not even realizing the full gamut of what I'm getting into, but pretty much my heart is for purpose, and I live my life to serve others, to be a blessing to them, and to help as much as I can to discover God, discover self, and discover purpose. So
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, let's take a voice, a WhatsApp message. Is it a voice message, Rasheen? Yes. Is that for me, Rasheen, or is it for someone else? I'm not hearing you, Rasheen.
Right.
That's
All right. So,
probably.
all right. Go ahead. No. All right. Go ahead.
Good night. I'm asking the doctor to help me pray for Kenny. Good night. I'm asking doctor to help me pray for the counselor. Thank you, Jesus. Good night. I'm asking the counselor to help me. Good night.
Is that there?
McKay. I'm asking prayer for my son, Kenny Watts. He's doing tests next week at school and he's not focused on his schoolwork. Anytime I told him to do his work is a problem. He then quarrel with me or he walk away and do not want to do anything. He say not doing anything and not helping me to do anything. So please, I don't know what to do anymore. I try everything I can to help him, but I'm asking you guys to help me. Pray for him. That's when he goes to school next week, Monday, to do his test. He will focus on his test and know what to do. Please, I beg you to help me pray for him and help me pray for my other two kids, Kobe Watt and Shamoya Watt. Please, I'm asking you. My name is Sister Anna K. Nimard, and I'm asking you to pray for me as well and my family and my church family, New Beginning Church of God. I'm asking you to pray me up. I'm asking you, please.
All right, Sister Watt, we hear you loud and clear, and we certainly will join in prayer for you. One of the things that helps with young people in terms of their own education and just to get them to do what it is that they need to do is to get them help you set up a system. So my suggestion to you is with your younger son, of course, next week is the exam, and so if he has done certain things already, it may be a little bit shady. But just for future reference, that what you could do is get him help you set up a schedule for him when he has playtime, when he has other things to do, so that it is not just you telling him to do it, and he participates in it, so that he feels a part of it. All right. Before we go back to Mark, I've asked Mark to share his story with us. We're gonna read this other text message, and it is saying, it says, "Hi, family counselor. I am thinking about the COVID-19, but I'm watching it. I'm wondering. Sorry, I'm not able to see it well. We have a call."
Not necessarily. I was just indicating that to the listeners that you are actually live on YouTube and live on Facebook as well, so that they can go to those platforms to be a part of what's happening.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. Right. So this person says, "I have family counselor. I'm thinking about taking the COVID vaccine, and I'm wondering if I should take it. What do you think?" And my straight up answer and very short answer is, I think so. I think though that you should check with your doctor first to find out whether, because I know that sometimes some of us have some conditions that the vaccine may not necessarily be conducive to. So check with your doctor first. But I'm certainly going to take it, and yeah, I really that's as best that I can respond. All right, so we want to go back to our special guest, and we want to first of all just make mention of what addiction is. Yeah, some persons, I'm sure that person know what addiction generally is, but just for or set the tone or to set the pace, that addiction is a psychological and physical inability to stop consuming a chemical, a drug, a substance, or repeating an activity or a behavior, even though it is causing psychological and physical harm. And for a long time, addiction was looked upon as just drug related, but certainly we have moved from that. And researchers have come to realize that things like behaviors like gambling and pornography and other sexual abuse have moved from that. And researchers have come to realize that things like behaviors like gambling and pornography.
So sorry about that.
Okay, fine. Right, and other sexual activities, even exercise and eating are also categorized in the listing.
Exercise.
Yes, because it can become compulsive to the point that it begins to harm you.
Wow.
Yeah. And so addiction rarely speaks to any behavior, whether it is ingesting something or whether it is an activity that you engage, whether it is causing psychological harm or causing physical harm. And certainly not just to yourself, because very often it expands, not just, it moves from you, the individual, to others who are listening, to others with whom you interact. So in summary, addiction is the term given to a behavior, whether it is a psychological behavior or whether it's a physical behavior, and that causes negative consequences for the individual. It is possible to become addicted to almost anything. And this condition occurs when persons continue or someone continues to do something despite knowing that it will have adverse impact on his or her life. So there is a reward that comes with the addiction. So you do this because it gives you a high, the brain responds to it, and the brain always wants to repeat the high. So if it is drinking, if it is pornography, if it is whatever the activity is, as long as it brings high, the brain remembers it and it produces a particular hormones which cause the fuzzy feeling. And so you want to maintain it. So you get to a point, not just for the reward system, but you have the cravings for it. And usually you step up the activities, whether it is that you drink 2 more glasses of wine, or you engage in pornography several more times, or you expand the different types of activities that you engage. So maybe you start with one person and you move from one to threesome, and you move from threesome to, so you engage in several things. And so the appetite grows with addiction. So there's this craving and there's the tolerance. And tolerance means that you're able to embrace it, and you recognize that there's a lot of fun in it because you feel good about doing while you're doing it. And so the idea of doing it so that you can sustain this particular feeling that you would have been having. Sometimes the interest in other things diminishes. So it may be in the case of interacting with others, or your work, or relationships will be affected. And of course, there's a control where you feel out of the same kind of control because you feel that you have to get there. So I just wanted to give what is it now, foundation or some layer groundwork, Mark, for you to tell us whether you could relate to any one of those things in a general sense. Because we're just describing addiction generally. Can you relate to any of what I just described?
Certainly. And it's just amazing. I mean, listening to your expounding the definition of what an addiction is, I have mixed feelings. It breaks my heart because I'm looking back at where I used to be, and it's almost as if I can see myself as a victim there, that's kind of groping around in a circle helplessly. And that breaks my heart to see where I was. But then at the same time, I'm so thrilled to know that that's no longer my reality. And then again, it breaks my heart to know that there are other persons right now, this very minute, while we're speaking, who are in the prison of addiction. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So give us how did your addiction start? So we're focusing now specifically on you, on pornography. Tell us how it started for you, and at what age, or any kind of information.
No problem. So at age 12, there's a family friend who, he was a big man. I mean, he's an elderly man, and he was all about the ladies, And so he thought that, since I'm now age 12, I'm becoming a man, it's time to learn. It's time to understand big people things. And so he gave me 2 video cassettes. Of course, I was 12. I'm 42 now, so that's a long time ago when video cassettes were the thing, right? This generation don't know about video cassettes. But anyway, So he gave me 2 video cassettes, and those cassettes were porn cassettes, and pretty much that was my very first introduction to pornography. You know, I used to watch those cassettes as often as I could get the chance to, and what it did was it really it. You remember in the Garden of Eden when Eve saw that the fruit was good, she saw it was a new reality that was introduced to her. Though it was a harmful, bad, wrong reality, she became aware of it, and so for me, it's like it opened a whole new world for me, a world that really piqued my interest. It really got me even. As time progressed, it became more than just an interest, but it became a habit. And then after becoming a habit, I realized I got hooked on it, and it just got worse and worse and worse. It just really spiraled out of control.
So why do you think that you gravitated toward it? Why do you think that you did not turn away from it and say, "Oh no, I don't want to see this"? At 10, you said 10 or 11?
12.
Why do you think that you didn't push it away and say, "Look, in the name of Jesus, move away from me"?
I think it's a novelty of it because I've never seen anything quite as graphic as that before. I mean, at age 12, you know, as children used to talk about these things, but it was just hypothetical. Never seen it before, never seen it as raw as that. I mean, you watch a movie and you see, you know, a man and a woman kissing, and then the door closes or the scene changes, and the imagination does know that them do something, right? But seeing it as raw as that, to see the graphic, I mean, there's nothing left to the imagination, absolutely nothing. It was very intriguing to my mind, because I'm very visual. I'm visual, not only because I'm a man, but because I'm a creative. And so I'm highly visual. And so it really intrigued me. And so I kept going back to it over and over and over.
And I asked the question in particularly because as a teenager, because even though you're 12, I mean, teenage development starts from 9 in some instances, 9, 10. So as a teenager, the whole business of trying to find who you are, trying to understand, trying to explore, because we go through different stages of exploration as children. And so you move from the stage of explore, generally speaking, about one-on-one and so on, to move into what we call man and woman business, because now the hormones took different upsurge, and whilst it was just all of those, the energy hormones, now you start to feel sexual hormones because those begun to develop. And so underscores the fact that you wouldn't, as a 12, 13, 14-year-old, say no. You're going to want to, and I really appreciate the honest response that you gave. So tell us about the experience, some of the emotional experiences that you had. Were you in church at the time? Tell us more about that story.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in church. I mean, I've been church is pretty much the life I knew growing up. And so I had a very clear understanding of right and wrong. So it's not like I never knew it was wrong. So I hid to watch it, you know. What happened though, I mean, throughout my teenage years, I think what probably contributed significantly to the spiraling of the habit was the emotional turmoil I experienced as a teenager. I suffered from low self-esteem, had anger issues, you know, there's a lot of unresolved stuff in my life at that time. Caused me to seek, looking back now, I'm realizing that I sought comfort. I sought a safe place, that place that would numb my reality and just take my mind off things. So when I was angry, I would turn to it. When I was frustrated, when I was feeling depressed, when I was feeling low, I would turn to it. You know, and when night falls, there's something about night. There's something about night. When night falls, it tends to kind of heighten certain emotions and certain thoughts. And so for me, the night was a time of loneliness. It was a time of just feeling low. And so I would turn to it. And you know, I remember even there were times when back in the day when cable stations never had everything, right? There was some way, boy, I tell you, sin is a wicked thing. You know, I found a way to get the cable to show those late night movies. I mean, after I played the 2 cassettes and burned them out, I wanted to see other stuff. And I would find a way to catch the antenna and put a little piece of wire under something. And as grainy as it was, I would be up watching that thing. And that was when I got really hooked. That was when it was really becoming out of control. And that was just my vice. That was just my crutch. That was my hiding place. That was my safe place. And it's funny because after watching it, I felt horrible. But at the same time, that is why I said when I heard you reading the definition of an addiction, man, I had mixed feelings, because it is wrong, it is empty, it's not going to solve anything. I knew that I was going to feel horrible afterwards, but I had to get that high. And wow.
And you found that you needed, because you said that after a while the cassettes were not enough.
Right. Needed new content.
Yes, absolutely. Right. We want to encourage persons, as we normally do, to call us. The numbers are 876-968-8327, 876-968-8328. If you have any questions, any comments, or if you are struggling with porn addiction or any other kind of addiction, please feel free to on the WhatsApp page 876-997-3125 hashtag the Counsellor Dr. Joan, and on our Facebook page, Love 101 Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. I think we have some comments on our YouTube channel. Can we have them now? Okay. Somebody saying good night, sister. Is this brother? Okay. Somebody is making a comment. Please, I'm asking you for some prayer, my sister. My foot is low. Okay. So Blinky is asking us to remember him in prayer. He has a major issue with one of his feet, and so we continue to pray for him. Okay, so this person is saying, good night. I'm separated. I've been separated for 16 years. But part of me still hurting, and my husband is taking in different women in the house, even though it is, and so basically you're saying that it bothers me, and I'm trying to it affects me at times, and he's not paying for the divorce, and I'm still not able to. She's asking for my advice on how to cope. It sounds to me like a lot is happening with you, and it may mean that you would need to sit down with a counselor and just talk through the individual issues. But what sounds to be very challenging for you is that your husband is persons in, and whilst you're there, of course, that's very disrespectful. And so you're doing the divorce, you're seeking to do the divorce. So a lot of things are going on. So you may need to sit with a counselor, my sister, and I'm so sorry that you're going through that. It is unfortunate that he thinks that it is okay to do what he's doing. But I think that and you can call me, because perhaps that's what I need to tell you, that you can call me any weekday, Monday to Friday, between 8 and 9. Remember now, between 8 and 9 only, at 876-504-3201. So you can call me and we can talk through, because it sounds like a lot is going on. But certainly you have made the request for prayer, and we will certainly be praying for you. All right. So we have another. Okay, that person decided not to. So let's go back to our discussion, Brother Mark. Mm-hmm. So, what were some of the emotions you experienced? That you felt guilt, you felt shame. What are some of the emotions that you experienced? You went through those days, those periods.
Apart from guilt and the shame, also fear of being found out.
We're not hearing him. I'm not sure why.
Not hearing me? I don't know.
Are we having some issues with this? We're having some issues with the sound.
Am
I being heard?
Yes, man, I'm hearing you. Mark, you hearing Dr. John?
Am I
Yes,
being
I am.
heard?
Yes, man, we're hearing. Everybody's hearing you, Dr. John. Go ahead.
I'm not hearing anything.
Are you not hearing
Wow.
from your end?
Not hearing me?
Um,
I'm checking my mic. My mic is not
Come on,
muted.
everybody is hearing you, Dr. John. I'm not sure what's happening.
I think I'm not hearing you at all. Not hearing you at all.
Oh,
Rasheen, are
All
you
right.
speaking?
Yes, man, I'm speaking, but go ahead and turn up the volume on your end.
I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm not hearing anything.
All right, tell you what, we're gonna take a
All
break.
right, tell you what, let's take a break. We're at halftime, so let's take a break, and we'll sort out whatever the technical difficulties are. Let's
All
take
right,
a
not a
break. We'll be
problem.
right back.
Not a problem. This is Love 101 of the Family Station. Make the time 10:31.
Many of our brothers and sisters lose hope when diagnosed with HIV. Some lose their will to continue being a part of society. Others are despaired by the challenges of keeping up with their treatment. We understand. But remember, people with HIV live normal and progressive lives every day. You can too if you get back on track with your HIV treatment. Live for you, live for someone, live for something.
Get back on track, get back to life.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
I've got love in my heart and I'm feeling blessed.
Another exciting show awaits you inside Alive this World of Worship Wednesday, June 2, 2 o'clock, join us for Prayer Blast. At 2:15, we'll feature Micah Stampley, or Worship Artist of the Day. Then at 3 p.m. inside Love Drama House, we bring you Making Lemonade, Episode 7 titled Carry On. All this and more will come alive on the Family Station, Love 101.
Everybody wave, get something away.
My name is Joan Pinckney. Welcome back to the program. My name is Joan Pinckney, and I'm the counselor. Let me just remind us of the numbers that you may use to call us in studio, or if you prefer to send us a WhatsApp message, or you prefer to send your message via YouTube or the Facebook page. So our numbers to make contact with us in studio are 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. And our WhatsApp number is 876-997-3125. I know that normally when we have these educational sessions, that persons are very keen and are listening rather than calling in, rather than texting in. But we want you to participate in the program this evening, as usual. And so if you're having an issue with an addiction or any other issue, please feel free to share with us. You may post also your comments or your questions on the Love 101 Facebook page, or you may on YouTube Live, and you use the hashtag the counselor Dr. Joan before any message that you may text. So we look forward to hearing from you. Let's go back to our brother Mark. Let's continue the conversation on his journey, I call it, through this process. So so you were in church,
right.
and I suspect that you were active
Certainly.
because you're a singer.
Right. I wasn't singing at that time though.
And I was gonna say you're a handsome one, but then I was gonna say, okay, so how does handsome come into but I've been itching to say that all evening, so I just wanted to get it out.
Thank you very much.
Right. So you're in church, you're interacting, and how did that? Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
So I never got saved until age 18, 19. So I mean, my entire teenage years, I was hooked on this, and it just got progressively worse. One of the things that was difficult also was the fear of being, of being found out. The fear, being caught, the guilt, the fear, I mean, mixed all of that with the turmoil of the anger issues I was dealing with, the self-esteem, the relationship issues, all of that, plus, you know, the pressure of knowing that it's wrong, knowing that, you know, God is not pleased with this. And I was just really frustrated. Now, at about age 19, I eventually surrendered my life to the Lord. And that made a temporary, how should I put this now? I found strength in the early years, but then somehow the habit that break was short-lived. And so I got back into the habit, and it just got worse and worse and worse thereafter. And again, the fear of being caught, the fear of this coming out became even stronger and more profound, because now I am walking, I'm a Christian, you know, involved in ministry and so on. And so that fear became even stronger. And then the thing about this, you know, Doc, is the fear creates anxiety. The fear creates that unsettledness, and then to numb that, I go to the porn, and then so it's that cycle. So it is like the egg and the chicken, and the egg and the chicken, and the egg and the chicken, right around in a circle. It just got worse.
And so you mentioned several emotions that you were dealing with as you went through that time. So that the emotional roller coaster, as it were.
Right.
And of course, a lot of that was fueled by your own understanding of godliness, your understanding of the moral principles that
Right.
God has, but that didn't stop you.
No, because you see, by that time it was a stronghold. By that time, it was almost as if my will was no longer mine. It was almost as if I was. How I describe it is like I'm locked inside myself, beating on the walls, screaming, "Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!" So it's just like out of control.
Yes, right. But let me just inject here, Mark, that I really do appreciate you sharing this so frankly, so openly. It really takes a real man to be able to share as you have been sharing. There's a question for me, and this person is asking, I really need to know the answer to this question, please. How do you answer this question? If a Christian should engage in oral sex with their partner? You don't want to start talking about sex, we're going to get all kinds of other questions, and perhaps that's what we need to do, because sometimes these questions are not even looked at in other circles. The fact is that there are persons who have issues with engaging in certain kinds of sexual activities. And that is why premarital counseling is very important from the outset. Because what premarital counseling does, it should help you to understand your range of sexual desires and sexual preferences, and what you consider to be okay and what you consider to be not as a couple. And so that there can be some reconciliation and some understanding and some compromise, if you will. In that regard. Of course, it doesn't answer all the questions, premarital counseling, because sometimes after you're married, things change, because we are not static. We're persons who change. But one of the things that I say to persons when I'm asking that question is that there are persons who advocate for it, and there are some who say no. They're the ones who say that they're not comfortable with it. You'd have to respect persons who say that, because although the research tells us, or there's a school of thought which says that the vagina, for example, is very clean, because it whatever the term is, but it flushes itself. Of course, there is a lot of question in that regard as to whether that is so or not. The tongue, of course, is regarded as one of the most dirty part of your body because of several things that it catches and so on. But the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes we discriminate on certain parts of our bodies, and we color them bad or good or dirty for certain things because of our views. How we were socialized, how we were brought up, that has a lot to do with it as well. And so the persons who say that nothing is wrong with oral sex, I have no issue in engaging in it. Because the Bible actually says that the man and the woman comes together. Yeah, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave on to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Embedded in that term could be a whole lot of things. And my thing is, when a husband and wife goes into their bedroom and closes their door, whatever they do, as long as it is consensual, it is between both of them. So if it is oral sex that you want to engage in, both of you must come to an understanding as to how you're going to engage in it, as to what you're going to do, and so on. Or however you do whatever sexual activities you do, as long as it is consensual and it is not hurting each other. I don't know that anybody should dictate to anyone. No, if your partner advances that and you are not comfortable with it, you have to talk about it. You have to talk through with it and to say, hey, I have an issue with it. Now, the problem that I have with some couples is that one member of the couple wants to do it, and that one member does it to the partner. The partner who it is being done to does not object to it being done to him or her, but he's not going to reciprocate. No, I have a problem with that. If you want it and you enjoy it and you want it to happen and you're not going to refuse it being done to you, then why not reciprocate? But that's another discussion. But my thing is that it really has to be. I honestly don't know that there is a right or wrong to it. I mean, you could say missionary position is a position that we should always still do. We should not do any other sexual position. We shouldn't go to the side, or we shouldn't, stand up, or we shouldn't do it in the shower, because some of those things don't. And by the way, missionary position or any position at all is not in the Bible. Yeah, the Bible says that we're as husband and wife, we're to enjoy each other, and a lot depends on the extent to which we're comfortable. And so, if your spouse is not comfortable, you should not impose it. You should respect it and work with the missionary if that is what it's going to be. But some persons are more exciting and want the energy and whatever. Don't be condemning, but try to understand and try to meet each other halfway, because it's really about each of you serving each other in that regard. I know persons want me to say, "Oh, go ahead and do it," but that's not where I am. I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm going to tell you the pros and the cons, because there are some pros, which research says in terms of the excitement and keeping it alive, and there are some cons as well, because if you're not healthy, if you're not clean, there can be some negatives attached. But a lot depends on the husband and the wife, the couple, as you go through your period together. So yeah. All right. So we have some text messages. Let's see what they're saying, and some.
Good night, family counselor. My sister, what me did beg you to pray for? Beverly Sona Edwards, he passed by Friday night at about.
I'm so sorry about that.
7:45. I want to keep my mother mostly in prayer. Miss Jed, she's 91-year-old. Why you keep her in prayer for God may uphold her and strengthen her out of the family. Keep the family in prayer still, but she more important.
I'm so very sorry.
Family counselor for praying for the whole nation in Jamaica and other country. May God guide you and protect you. And good night, Dervan. How are you?
All right, thank you for that. But it's not Derval tonight. It's Rashane, the Honorable Dr. Rashane. You're all the things I'm calling you. Right. So let's take another. Let's see if we can. Another text. Someone is saying, "Can ensure that I'm getting this message correctly?" Okay. Can you find out if he is under any convictions while at church and the pastor preaching on Sunday after Sunday? So someone is asking whether you were under conviction while you were in church.
Oh God, man! Of course. Because the thing is, let me say this, because I don't want our listeners to be misled. You see, I'm like David. I love God till my buck. Love God. But what I found, and you see, ignorance and not understanding spiritual warfare, not understanding the authority of the believer, not understanding our position in Christ, ignorance to that can cause us to remain in a place of self-defeat. Because I became a Christian at 18, 19, as I mentioned, and I love God, love God. I mean, I've served in ministry. From upon lick, I will be there. That's how I am. I'm always serving. But I just never understood the authority that I had as a believer. I never understood the power that God has given to us through the cross of Jesus Christ. I never understood it. And so it's even reached a point where I started just accepting that, boy, this is just my struggle, this is my thorn in the flesh. But I mean, this is just going to be it for the rest of my life. I started to reach that place simply because I prayed, yes. I fasted, yes. I tried put apps on my laptop to prevent me from going to certain site. I tried everything, but it still didn't work. Why? Because I never understood the rules of engagement of spiritual warfare. I never understood that I had authority over it. And that is why and if you look at it, if you look at your own Christian walk, ask yourself the question, that thing that you are struggling with, why is it that you don't overcome it yet? And my answer to that question is because we have not come into an understanding of our authority in relation to that thing that you are struggling with. So if you're at church and you preach and you feel convicted and you read and you watch sermon and you read book, you read Bible, whatever. If you're doing all of that, but you don't understand the principles at play, you're going to stay defeated. You will still be a Christian, you still go to heaven, but you would have not lived a life that reflects the full reign and authority of Jesus Christ.
All right. So thank you for that. So you've talked about the struggles. You've talked about the spiritual struggles. Did anybody know about it? Did you share it with anybody?
Probably like my very, very inner circle. Which is probably one or two persons. Peers, peers. Peers.
And they didn't find it. They didn't. How was the response?
So it was more like a mutual struggle, kind of accountability, kind of, boy, drop yesterday, bro, and I say, all right, me are going good. The next week, boy, so I'm drop yesterday. I'm say, boy, drop to, but then nobody was really able. You see, the thing is now, Doc, and this is something that we need to fix in the church. There's a trust issue. There's a massive trust issue. And I struggled that long, not only because, and I'm not blaming anybody now, because I take full responsibility for my actions, but because I never felt like I had enough safe place to say to somebody in authority, I am struggling with this. Help me with this. What do I need to do? Probably it was a trust issue, one. Probably two, it was a feeling that probably you don't know how to deal with this either. So you're going to give me, you will open a book and tell me chapter 1 said this and chapter 2 said that and try that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because many times we Christians are not very real with our lives. And so we will behave as if we never ever struggled with that and whatever. But there's a trust issue. I just never felt like I had anybody to turn to say, hey, this will kill me.
Yeah, great. Well, and that's a big part of, as you said, something that we need to fix. Because sometimes we give the impression that, our spirituality, the level of our spirituality was always where we were.
Right.
And so persons look at you and like, oh my God, I can never get there, kind of thing.
Right.
But then if I'm struggling with something because of your level of spirituality, which you present when you preach, which you present when you just interact generally, I don't know that I can talk with you about my sinfulness.
Right.
And that is so very unfortunate. But someone is writing to Good Night, Counsellor. I am 13 years old. I think I need counseling. I've been finding myself involved in sexual activities. I know I should not be doing that because my mother don't show me love. And she thinks buying material things is showing that love for me. I want to, but my grandma pray for me, and she is blind, and we have a great relationship. Well, he's asking about counseling, so I'm going to put my number in the chat if you want to speak with me. But what would you say to this gentleman, Mark, this young man who's 13 years old, and he says he's engaging in activities. He didn't say what, but we suspect he said sexual activities.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say to him? Because he may be heading down the same road that you headed.
Right. I want you to understand, Malika brother. I want you to understand this and understand this very well. The power that God has created you with is far more than your mind can wrap around.
Amen.
I know that you're hurting. I know that you say, boy, you're not getting the kind of love and attention that you'd want.
It's a girl, you know. It's a girl. It's a girl.
It's a girl.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was a female.
Malika sister, I know, and you know, especially, and I can't say especially because it depends because sometimes some persons are wide different. But anyway, my sister, I'll say to you that you are beautiful, you are precious, and I'm not saying that because it is just a nice thing to say. I'm telling you because it is true. God made you precious. God made you of immeasurable value. And even though mommy or daddy or friend or cousin or whatever don't show you the love and attention that you'd want to get, know that God is always there, ready to show you the attention that you need. You just need to, it's just like when you talk to counsel, you text the message a while ago and say, hey, counsel, I need help. More you talk to God, same way. You say, God, I want help. My sister, I not get this, I not get that. I want you help me. And trust me, my little sister. God responds to that. I'm a living testimony of that. Living testimony of that. There's so much I want to say, but we'll take up all of the program. But just know that God sees you and you are never, ever alone. Don't ever forget that.
Great. Another person is texting. The exact same thing happened to me. When I became a child of God, I was so strong for so many years, and I'm actually going back where I'm coming from because the alcohol is getting back at me.
Wow.
So his situation, we're going to look at that as well. But maybe you can say a word to him because he's saying that another person is saying that my past tend to haunt me at times.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be good to know how you choose with now the fact that you have come out of that, and that's probably what we can talk about next time when you come.
Mm-hmm.
How you overcame and how do you deal with those memories, those flashbacks? Do they come? With them, but go ahead and respond to the person who says
it's unfortunate that you said that next time we're going to deal with that because what I was just about to say. I still want, with your permission, I still want to say, just in case whoever is watching tonight or listening tonight will not come on next time.
Yeah.
What the late Dr. Miles Monroe wrote in his book that the only thing that can kill an idea is not killing the person who came up with the idea, but it's representing a bigger and better idea. Let me say it again. The only thing that can kill an idea is a bigger, better idea. What changed the game for me, what changed the game completely for me, was when I started to discover that I am created in God's image and likeness. When I recognized that and realized if God made me in a theme image and theme likeness, it means that one piece of greatness inside of me where my mind can't even wrap around.
Yeah.
Therefore, if that greatness is inside of me, then there's no way any addiction at all can be greater than that power. If God lives inside of me, if God created me in his image and likeness, then there's no addiction that can be any match for that at all. And that new idea started make me realize, but hold on a minute. I don't have to live with this. I don't have to be a prisoner to this thing because I am actually greater than this thing. That is when my transformation started taking place.
Take a quick call before the voice note, Dr. Jones.
All right, this is the counsel. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, Counsellor. Good night.
Good night. Good evening.
Okay. I'm going through a lot because actually I'm raped at age 10 and I run away from my home at 15 and I go through a lot. And since I baptized, I don't know if it is keeping me to get stronger in God. I don't know if it is coming back to me or not. Every time I think about it, it hurt me deeply. Although I forgive him, he's my brother, but although I forgive him, but he's coming back to me, hurting me deeply. And when I said to my mom told me nothing like that. And I cry over morning, noon, and night. I don't understand. I need help.
Okay. All right. So sorry that you're going through that. The thing about the memory is that it will always come back to you. And the cues, meaning that the things that happen around you every day will often bring those memories back. And what you have to do is, one of the things that we talk about is reframing, changing the way you think about the person, because that's part of the forgiveness. And perhaps we need to do another discussion on forgiveness. But you have to begin to make a decision. Forgiveness starts with a decision to say, hey, this person has wronged me, and I'm going to make a decision. The decision has to be in the head. It has to start in the head before it actually goes to the behavior. So it has to be a decision that even though you don't feel it, you can't use emotions to judge making that decision. You have to know that this is what God wanted to do. God wanted you to forgive this person. Because remember, if you don't forgive, you won't be forgiven. Yeah?
I know that.
There's more to talk about in relation to forgiveness, but the time or the show is almost ending, and we need to pray. So I would really love for you to call back another evening so that we can talk some more about it, because I'd love to help you to work through the whole business of forgiveness. Or if you prefer to, you can call me any weekday morning between 8 and 9, Monday to Friday, at 876-504-3201. Brother Mark? Yes. And thanks for coming. Our time has gone,
Thank you.
Wow.
We're just about to start. But we really want to thank you for coming on and sharing as you have. It has been really wonderful. I so appreciate your honesty, your openness. And I'm going to ask you to pray. Pray for persons who are listening, persons who are struggling with addiction, particularly pornography, as you've been, and so that they will come into they be released from this particular disease, if you will, and be delivered in the name of Jesus. Let's pray.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you so much that your love is unconditional. Your love has no limit, no boundary. Thank you, Daddy, that your love pursues us every single day. God, we thank you that you know us inside out. You are the architect of our being. You designed us, you shaped us, you formed us, you give us life. And so because of that, Lord, whenever we mess up, God, whenever we struggle, you know the root of it. And Lord, through the unfolding of time, Lord, you lead us to the discovery for freedom. Lord, I commend everybody who is on this, who is listening to this program, everybody who is watching online, who has, whether it's a little tiny struggle or a monster of a struggle. Father, I pray that you introduce, you give them the revelation of the bigger idea that you created them in your image and your likeness. Therefore, you are inside of them and you are greater than he who is in the world. Your word says, Lord, that greater is he, which is you, who is inside of us than he, the enemy, who is in the world. And therefore, God, if you are inside of us and you are greater than all things, then God, there's nothing that can be any match for you. So Lord, freedom, I pray that you bring freedom to your people tonight, right now, this week, Lord. Let them see that they don't have to live with this. For those who think it's all right, who think it's just adult entertainment, Father, I pray that you reveal truth to them. For those who are struggling now, bring freedom to them and glorify yourself in and through their lives so that they can turn around and help somebody in the future. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Brother Mark Johnson, for coming and sharing as openly as you have. May the Lord bless you as you continue in your ministry. I want
Thank
to
you.
thank
Thank you.
listeners for being on, those who have texted, those who didn't get a chance to. But we certainly will continue to pray. I'll see you again tomorrow evening as we come back with the counselor. Have a good rest of the evening. Rashane, take care.
All right, thank you. And listeners of Love 101, thank you again for listening to The Counselor with counseling psychologist Dr. Joan Pinkney. And of course, to our guest this evening, Mark Johnson, who did an amazing job. It's now 11 o'clock right here on Love 101. It's now time for Shades of Glory.